So icetana is a software company that develops AI technology to analyse video feeds coming from video surveillance networks. Our technology plugs into large distributed security surveillance networks, and what the software does is it learns movement patterns, what's taking place in front of each individual camera. And having gone through a learning phase, which is usually a week to 2 weeks, having learnt those patterns, it then starts to report anomalous and unusual movement in real time. So if you're in a control room operating or monitoring a surveillance network, you start to see interesting stuff that's happening in front of those cameras so that you can respond much more rapidly, or in the past you might have completely missed what was going on. So our core industry verticals that we target when we're selling are in the retail space, in campus surveillance, and also for casinos. All of those areas have been very hard hit in the last 6 to 9 months due to COVID. So we've pivoted our efforts towards public safety. So we're talking about police surveillance and council surveillance, and also to prisons and the interior of prisons, because the risks are very high within a prison environment. We've had quite some success having moved to those other industry verticals. In terms of competitors, we're one of the very few operators in the world that does anomaly detection based on learnt movement in front of cameras. We have many competitors who create what we call rules-based systems, where they're looking for particular events to take place. So for example, they might say, we're going to create a virtual tripwire which says if somebody's climbing over this fence, if that wire is tripped, we'll report that into the control room. But that's a very rules-based system, whereas our system learns what's normal and reports anything that's weird and unusual. So we might find fires, we might find people loitering, we don't only find the person climbing over the fence. So we find that we have competitors for budget, but we have few competitors for functionality, if that makes sense. There have been impacts to our customers' sites which have been quite dramatic. And one of the good things about the icetana software is it's always learning. Every night it goes through a process of understanding what's happened in the day before. And so that week to 2 weeks of learning period that I talked about is a rolling week to 2 weeks. And a great example is one of our customers, a university in Canada, were shut down, and that reduced foot traffic. Having no staff and no students on the campus meant that the campus became a bit of a soft target for thieves or vandals, because people coming onto the campus, there was no public who had good intentions spotting them. From the security team's viewpoint, icetana was fantastic in this environment, because within a few days it had adjusted its models to understand that there was far less movement than it was used to seeing, and pretty much anyone who started walking on campus, the security guys started to see this, and that was very, very useful. A great example where they saved a lot of money was actually a water leak that was taking place in one of the residential colleges within the university. They noticed that this camera view kept coming up with icetana and there were no people in the view, but they spotted that there was this patch of dampness that was appearing on the carpet, and what had happened is one of the pipes had broken, water was leaking. Normally you would have residents there to say, hey, there's water leaking, we should do something, but there was nobody in this building, so they sent out a guard and they were able to identify the leak, stop the water leak, and save literally thousands and thousands of dollars in damage. What we found is that more and more people are getting used to the idea of artificial intelligence as a way to analyse the masses of data that come out of these surveillance cameras. And we're finding that icetana is really useful in health and safety, so identifying health and safety breaches by your staff or by people coming onto your premises in your area of surveillance, and also that we get in massive efficiency improvements for people who have already decided to do active monitoring. So a great example of that is in South America. Guarding services companies actively monitor condominium developments, large facilities remotely, and some of these sites only have 5 or 10 cameras. But when you aggregate them all together, you're talking about thousands of cameras coming into a control room. A typical operator might be assigned 50 or 60 of these cameras. But with icetana, that same operator can look at 250, 300 cameras. That is an ROI, return on investment, efficiency-based sale, and it's a really interesting sector for us to be pivoting into. So we've had great success with engaging with those potential clients, and I think 2021 is going to be where we really shine in that space.